Is hosted by Tony Gapperstone. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
Hey everybody, it's showtime. Episode 260 of the Brave Maker podcast, and I am coming at you from Redwood City, California, the San Francisco Bay Area. My name is Tony Gapperstone. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am a filmmaker. I'm an actor. I'm a producer. I'm all the things in filmmaking as one does when you have to be an indie creator. You can find me on all the socials at my name, Tony Gapperstone. My website is tonygap.com. And I'm the founder and executive director of Brave Maker. And this is our 260th episode. I kind of cheated today because I'm doing 2 in a row. But I love doing the show. I get to talk to people all the time who are creating and making their way. I like to say braving their way in the creative industry. So some of you who are listening to this on the replay on an audio version, you can always watch this live or on the replay on the video version on our YouTube channel at bravemaker.org. If you're watching live, you can always say hi in the comments. We already have people in there. Hi, Belhika, who's excited to hear us talk, and Stacy, who's back again. The Conrad, the self-help king. Love the series that he posts to TikTok and Instagram. Awesome. Well, yeah, with no further ado, let's bring on my 260th guest, Conrad Cheeks. What's up, Conrad?
Hey, what's up? How's it going, Tony?
Good, man. Thanks for jumping on. You get to do your description, say all the things you want to say, your pronouns, where you're from, and your physical description, which I forgot. I'm a Caucasian guy wearing yellow glasses, yellow shirt in my studio with green faux and a pink Brave Maker sign behind me. How about you?
It looks nice. I gotta admit, like the whole thing that you got going on. I like the yellow as well. So my name is Conrad Cheeks. I am in Oakland, the beautiful city of Oakland, in California, and I am wearing a nice little cardigan. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's like Basquiat inspired in a black t-shirt. Let's see what else. I'm an actor, content creator, writer, and my pronouns are he, him. And you can also find me on Instagram at Conrad Cheeks. Then on TikTok at Conrad ENT.
Conrad Cheeks. I just immediately saw, like, did your grandmas always pinch your cheeks like that?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure you get that joke a lot.
I was a chubby baby as well.
Perfect.
I was a little chubby guy.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I love it. Conrad and I we did meet in person multiple times. Bay Area creative community. You came to the film festival this year, so thank you for doing that. We'll chat. And before we jumped on, Conrad's like, "Can I turn this interview on you as well and ask you questions?" I was like, "Of course you can." But let me just ask you, what's your origin story? How'd you get involved in creativity and making content and being an actor?
Yeah, so we'll start off with the acting journey first, and that will also lead into the content creation journey as well. So acting, I kind of came into it a little late in life. I had a very, very small stint in middle school where I was in plays and stuff like that. and I got into the I think Kids Washington Post. It was super cool, right? I think it was like in the Merchant of Venice. I was playing like the jester or something like that, but didn't really do anything with acting for like a long time until college, where I took a improv for entrepreneurship class. And I thought it would just be an easy elective. I like, let's do this, let's knock this out, let's get the grade, we'll get out. And then I was like, wow, I actually like this a lot. This is really cool to just be able to get up and create with other people, have a good time. Met a lot of interesting people who were already acting majors and doing things with film and theater. So it was just super cool to be around them. And so decided to keep that going when I got out of college. And then that eventually led me just to taking classes at Studio ACT in San Francisco, going to Layla Improv School. So shout out to both of those organizations. Huge help to just continue to sharpen my skill set. And I wanted to make the transition from theater, which I was doing a lot of in San Francisco, to on camera. So I kind of ran into a challenge where I was like, why would somebody want to sign me and represent me on camera and theatrically? And I told myself, well, maybe if I start posting stuff online and just seeing how that goes, and maybe I build a following, they'll give me a chance. So in 2021, January, that's when I decided I'm going to give myself 30 days on TikTok. We were still in the pandemic, so people were still in the house, right? We had just got the vaccines and all the stuff like that. Things were slowly opening up. But I knew there was probably a window there where I was like, all right, let's just see what happens, right? Like, I've got time. I'm not really doing a lot of things. Projects are still kind of slow right now in 2021, and things just kind of took off. I stayed focused. I eventually found a groove, found a wave, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that later in the podcast, but was just showing my creativity and my perspective on comedy. I just wanted to let that shine through. And I think it did. And I had a lot of fun doing it, and still have a lot of fun doing it.
So you've created your own characters and sketches, and this is the new kind of space of content creativity that we're in, is that people can make a name. You don't need a representative, although we have the same reps, MDT. You don't need
shout out to
people.
MDT.
Yeah, shout out. You don't need them, but we're grateful to have them. But you can make your own way. You can brave your own path. And so you start creating. I mean, it's just kind of cool. Like, how many actors dream of going to Saturday Night Live, right? Now it's like you can create your own Saturday Night Live every single day on your phone. Right. And that's kind of what you did. You started creating these characters. One of them is a self-help king. What is some of the backstory to these characters, and maybe like what have you been learning as you've been making them and putting yourself out there like that?
Oh my gosh. The backstory to a lot of these characters, that it's just interesting, right? It's like a mix between people that I know in real life, right? Like, there could be family members, it could not be, it could be your friends or people I just run into. So I try to take inspiration from everything, but specifically the self-help king was inspired from me already just playing the king on TikTok. I had him reacting to medieval versions of popular pop songs. And it was just very short bits, right? Just very, very quick. Like, he would say something in reaction to it, right? If it was a Justin Bieber song, he would talk about, like why you should never be sorry or stuff like that, and things of that nature. So I took that essence and put it into the self-help king and said, hey, sometimes, the motivational space can be kind of interesting. What if we have a king in a medieval setting just saying stuff, right? Just like having fun with it. Sometimes he's not even giving you something that's inspirational. So I think that's really the inspiration for it. Let's just mix these two things together that don't seem like they would go together, and see how people react to it. And people enjoy it. So I mean, that's all that matters to me. I want people to, take a little break from reality when they watch my comedy. And you'll see that a lot. I mix a lot of different things. I'll play holidays, and personify them. So I'll play Halloween, I'll play Thanksgiving, I'll play Christmas, and just really give people a small break and just enjoy something.
I love the creativity that you have. I think our brains what we can do, right? Like, if we just take the limitations off of us. And I wonder too, as myself as an actor, and I know
Right.
we have a lot of actors and creatives who are listening. There is some thoughts on the other side about like the stress of trying to create like, all these things all the time, and the pressure to be funny and to get the likes. And how do you make sense of all that? Like, do you have a content plan? Are you going, okay, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday? What does it look like for you? It seems like it comes natural to you, but I know it's work. I know all the behind the lighting and the setting up and the editing.
Yep.
So can you talk about that process a lot, or that you go through a lot? I mean, thinking about those who are doing it already and those who maybe feel afraid to do it, or those who are tired or burnt out or afraid to do it.
Yeah, so I would say the process, we'll get into kind of like the weeds a little bit, and then we'd love to zoom out and tell you like what kind of helps me get through some of those things, especially when I'm tripping up on stuff. But I do have a content calendar. It is a very, very basic content calendar, like Google Sheets. Here's like the day. Here's like the constant, the name of the why am I blanking out? The name of the video that I'll be posting.
Yeah.
Right. And literally that's it. And I just kind of chart it out. And sometimes if I'm only posting on IG, I may put that in there, say, hey, this is for IG. I'm going to post about a trip I just had, and that's it. Right. So I'll do that. And that kind of helps me see what I've got going on. And I'm checking that against my actual calendar. So I know like, hey, I only have really one weekend to produce content for a whole month, if that's my plan. Right. So it's really just being strategic around that, and it's looking at how can I make content work, but how can I also have this balance out in my life? So that's kind of the gist of it. And when it comes to actually putting it together, it it can be really challenging when you're playing the actors, you're also the director, you're the producer, you're trying to figure out lighting. And if you're doing it outside, that's a whole nother ball game. You might have neighbors working on renovations and it's messing with the sound. There's a whole lot of things that can go wrong. No, seriously. I mean, as you know. So that is something that I try to, just take into consideration and just try to look for that balance. If I'm going to do a piece of content that's going to take me half a day, I'm going to make sure I balance that out, and I may not do a bunch of content following, right? Or I'll do some reposts. There's nothing wrong with reposting. Everybody hasn't seen everything that I've done, or if you are a creator as well, they haven't seen everything you've done, or they might have forgotten about it and want to see it again. You never really know. So those are some of the ways I try to manage the workflow of everything. And then when it comes to running up against challenges, whether it's like, oh man, I didn't feel too great about that take, or I didn't really love the way that came out, or I didn't get the likes, right, that I thought I was going to get, or the views. I try to keep in mind really what inspired me to love comedic acting. And it really comes back to my mother. And when I was in high school, she unfortunately got breast cancer. She's still here with us today, but she got it. And I felt pretty helpless, right? I was like, I don't know what I can do to help her. I'm not a doctor, right? I just don't know what to do. And I guess something kind of came out of me. I just wanted to see her smile. So I would just be silly at the dinner table or find any moment just to make her laugh, make her smile. And when we were at the dinner table, I was making her laugh so much, my brother as well, that she's like, the food is getting cold. Please stop. like I'm laughing. You've achieved your goal. Like, let's just eat. So that's really where my love for comedic acting comes from. It's something that I believe is healing. When somebody gets a laugh out, it can be something that is thought-provoking because you're disarmed and you're not thinking too deeply about your current stance on things. So I just try to always keep that in mind if I'm ever hitting a rough point mentally or just emotionally with this whole process of creating, that what I'm doing, especially with comedic acting, is hopefully helping somebody get through something.
If you're just joining in live, this is episode 260. I am with actor, content creator, social media influencer, Conrad Cheeks. And what I hear you saying, Conrad, a couple things. Well, one, I hear you saying that you do have a plan. There is, I think, so much myth and lie out there, like falsehood about people just kind of like becoming a social media influencer by happenstance because they're posting a bunch of selfies. This is a business. It really is a strategy. You're planning things out. Much like, I just talked with creator named Michelle A. Daniel with a company called Showrun Her. And she was talking about when you write a script, you have an outline, right? You don't just, well, some people do. But if you want to finish it, you want to have some sort of direction, it helps to sit down and go beginning, middle, end. What am I going to do? What are they going to say? Who are the characters? What's the arc here? And I hear you saying the same thing with your social media. You can happenstance, just post things and every day go, what am I going to do right now or this hour? But I really love that you're utilizing a outline, on a Google Doc. Like that's
100%
a basic thing that can help us take our career seriously, because it is a business. It is fun. We're living our dreams. But we also need to treat it like a job, like we're clocking in and clocking out, right?
And you have to, and especially when it comes to the monetization side of things with social media. I saw a stat somewhere that it's a $50 billion industry in terms of like advertisement money that's being poured in. A lot of big brands are viewing it as really the new commercial, the new TV commercial. So you got to keep that in mind. And so when it comes to the planning out of things and treating it like a business, you really have to. Otherwise, you can go in and say, hey, every single day, I'm just going to come up with whatever I'm going to film that day. But I would not suggest that unless you had tons of time, right? And if you do, I'm happy for you, do it. But what you'll end up doing is losing some efficiency. If you're in ideation mode, maybe just spend that time, spend a whole hour, just ideating, right? Say, okay, here's the different ideas I can do, list those out. And then once you get into writing mode, if you decide to write scripts out for your content, go ahead and start writing them. And so really what you're trying to do is batch all the different phases of your content creation so that when you're stuck in that mode, you're staying in it. And then once you leave it, you're moving on to the next thing. And then when it comes to batch creating, just take a day, say, hey, I've got 6 hours. I'm going to bang this out. I'm turning my phone on airplane mode. Nobody's going to disturb me. And really just get after it and try to make as much content as you can. And then you can just take the rest of the time to do other things. So that's something that I would suggest to creators. Just try to stay in specific phases. You'll be so much more efficient that way.
And the other thing I hear you talking about is, in your creating of characters, is you're being inspired by your real life. You talked about your mom and just people that you know. And as an actor, I think I love that we have the power to bring things to life. We can make a platform for ourselves. And, as much as social media can be toxic or sometimes ridiculous and narcissistic feeling, this is creativity. And we had Leah Knauer, who was one of our special guests at the film festival on our recent mastermind. And she was talking about, if you want to be an actor and you're auditioning and waiting around for someone to book you and not feeling like it's going anywhere, well, why don't you just start making a character, start creating sketches, start doing things, right from your phone, because you have the power to parlay your acting and creative expression into a job, which sounds like you have too, right? So if this is the new commercial frontier, and I, as an actor, want to be making money through commercials, then I should be finding ways to leverage that from my social media, right?
100%. And she's amazing. I've met her. She is top notch. Just such great energy. And she's on point about that, right? Like in between times, you can be doing so many different things, right? And when it comes to creating, it's just a great avenue to do that, right? Like you don't have to wait for somebody to cast you as a specific thing, because maybe it doesn't fit your quote unquote, brand that you currently give out, but why not just put yourself in that role and let people see what you can do? Somebody out there may say, hey, I don't see Conrad as a villain, but I really like the way he played corporate America. And that felt like a villain, but a version of it that I never saw before, right? And so you're just giving people samples and taste tests of what you can do from an acting perspective, but then at the same time, you're able to get out your creativity. And that's something that's important to me. I know important to a lot of creatives.
I want to ask you about the other side of the conversation where I have heard people say, I don't want to sell out. I want to be prestige actor. I want to be known for certain things. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, but I do see the tides are changing for all levels. Like we are competing with the Jennifer Anistons out there. We're competing with the A-list actors who are doing commercials now.
I was literally, you just took that really out of my head. I mean, you see that now when I feel like 20 years ago, it was kind of taboo a little bit in a weird way, but they're doing them.
Yeah.
They're completely doing them.
Yeah. So when you hear someone say, I don't want to sell out, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would say I would say this. It depends what sellout means to you, right? Like as long as you feel like you're not selling out and going against your morals, then I think you should be okay. But if you feel like you're going against everything that's in your core, all your values, you are, I mean, you're doing stuff just to get clicks only and just to get views, maybe not. I mean, I would say that's selling out. If you don't feel whole when you're making your content anymore, then that to me is a version of that. But in terms of getting out there and doing it, you have to put yourself out there. At the end of the day, I mean, we're already doing that as actors every single time we send in a self-tape or show up for an audition. So you're already selling your product out, right? Like you are a product that's showing up to this, and then the casting director or the filmmakers or whoever it is behind it are choosing your services and wanting to showcase your product. So you're already doing it. So I think it just depends on what that person means by it. But I know that term, can rub people the wrong way. So I would just say, think about it in terms of you're pushing your brand out there in the best way that you can. Just don't go against your values and you'll be okay. That's the way I look at it.
That's great. And social media isn't for everybody. I know some people have a real hard time with it, and they feel challenged or discouraged, or like, I just want to be this version that I had in my mind of what an actor could be. And I go, if that's you, then okay, you get to do that. You get to do you. And I would not ever want to like have anyone feel shamed or guilted, but I do think there is some connection building, that you're going to be missing out, and opportunities that you might not get because, and I don't like saying the follower thing. I don't, although it is a thing, I don't ever want to say the more followers you get, the more likely you're going to get cast. It is a thing. People do care about that stuff. People sometimes want to see what is your engagement like on social media. I look at, someone like what you're doing and go, if I were to cast you in something, I know you will be posting about it. And that's a good thing for a production to have, Belhika, our mutual friend who was in the chat a minute ago, she's a regular co-host on there. She often says, hey, if you cast me, I'm vlogging about it. And that's a really good thing. So there are some pros that you can really leverage with your social media without being thirsty, or desperate, and also not beating yourself up about it either. Like our, Leah Canal, our friend, will say, if you have one follower, that's one person that you can be encouraging and touching. So look at it, whatever your followers are, as people who are invested in you and that you can be providing them. But $750,000, I mean, not dollars, but subscribers and followers. That's right. That's a lot of people who you're entertaining and creating content for. So congratulations. That's a big accomplishment.
Thank you. Yeah. And it really, I mean, it's about the type of audience that you're building, right? In terms of just engaging with them, and in terms of size and how that relates to the casting side. I'm like you said, I know some people really care about it, right? They may say, hey, these two actors are both on the same level. Yeah. We're going with the person who has 5 million followers versus the person who only has 300 of their closest friends and family, right? Like if that's their prerogative, then unfortunately, that just wasn't the opportunity for you. If you feel like you have to go obtain that to then get to where you want to get to, maybe just check in with yourself, make sure you have enough time to actually go pursue that and gain that many followers and then get after it. But if you really feel like, hey, I don't want to be posting all the time, I don't want to feel the pressure from the algorithm or like the internal pressure, that is okay. You have to do what works best for you, because it's not for everybody, right? Like there's challenging parts about posting content online, especially the mental health aspect of it.
Yes, thank you for mentioning
that. We can get into that as well.
Go ahead.
But I even struggled with it at one point. I even definitely struggled with it at one point. and it was really in the beginning. It was in the beginning, and then I would say somewhere in the middle as well. I had posted a TikTok that got me like canceled, and we'll get into that really quickly. So I had made a joke about the weather, and this was in 2021.
Okay.
Do you remember the snowstorm that hit Texas?
Vaguely, yes, because my mom lives there.
Yep,
Yes.
and the power went out. It was real
Yes.
bad. Like
Oh
it
yeah,
was,
and
it was.
yes, Austin. I remember our producer
Mhm.
Amy. Yes.
It was real nasty. So, rule number one to comedy and posting online: do not post about weather. I want to tell you that right now, because I had a joke that was okay in the beginning before things got bad. It was literally just me personifying Texas versus like East Coast, because I'm from the East Coast. We know how to deal with snow. And it was just literally a light joke about that. But it took a turn for the worse when the weather did as well. And I was getting piled on in the comments, just absolutely dogged out. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Can we curse on this podcast? I probably shouldn't though.
Go for
I don't want you to get demonetized, but it was bad. It was real bad. And I did the apology as well, because like it was genuine, right? I was like, hey, I didn't I didn't know the weather was going to do that, and that this joke would not age well so quickly. I'm talking about from like literally an hour to the next hour. The joke was, hey man, you shouldn't have done that. So mental health was suffering during that moment. I bounced back. I bounced back, but it was a rough go. And then eventually the mental health battle that I was focused on as a content creator was the comparison game. And then also worrying about the numbers too much. Like, oh, how come I'm not growing anymore? What's going on? How come I'm not getting the views and engagement? Like, I'm putting everything into this stuff. Like, what's the matter with me? What's the matter with like what I'm putting out there? And that can be really challenging, because when you're putting out comedy or you're putting out ideas and then there's just crickets, you're like, well, is anybody listening? And really I had to refocus myself back to that why with the comedic acting, and think about some of the people who've reached out to me, who follow me and support me and like let me know like, hey, that got me through a tough moment.
Wow. Yeah.
And really think about that and say, okay, all right, people are enjoying this. It may not be the same as it was in terms of views or likes or whatever it may be, but I know it's having an impact. So just keep going. Just keep going, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, Conrad, I like that. By the way, I do admire the work that you're doing. It's so fun, and
thank you.
And I say this not to like get myself in a commitment, but I would love to do more things like that, because it looks so fun, and I know that brings me joy, and I love friggin' sketch comedy and ridiculous characters. I just need to make the time. But I look at your stuff and go, oh, it's so great. You are bringing such joy. I love Halloween, so I was looking at all the Halloween stuff you did from last year. So I'm gonna be looking this year. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. I gotta cook out something new.
But thanks for acknowledging the mental health stuff, because it is a big deal. And I also appreciate that you not only got some, rude comments, but people also commenting back saying, hey, I appreciate you, or, whether it's the apology, like that's the transparentness of social media that can really work and do wonders. Just last week, I had posted, I do like more like little snippets, like filmmaker tips or life hacks or whatever. But I was posting
I love those as well, because you post some really transparent stuff, and I'm like, I'm feeling the same exact way. So thank you for doing that. And by the way, if you want to get more into the comedy sketch side of things, we might have to do a little collab.
Let's talk. I would love to. I know you and Belly did, and I love that.
Yeah, something. We'll have to do.
I would love to
sure.
collab. Let's do it. I'm trying. I want to be more intentional. Is a goal I have. Is like, could I do some different characters? So let's talk. I would love that. But a couple weeks ago, I shared something, and I kind of censored myself. I was like, our family guinea pig died, and I said two different times on a post and in a story. I know it's silly, or it might seem silly, and I got a flood of just encouragement, like, it's not silly. Your grief is real, and da da da. And I so loved that, and I so appreciated that through social media. I felt supported, and gracefully accountable for owning my emotions because our family guinea pig died. And I just did a little thing. And then that spurred on some cool
Yep.
conversations. Like, give yourself permission to feel. So again, I mean, the power that we have to influence the world, it's not cheesy or cliche. It is real. We talk about stories can change the world. Truly, through our phones, we can bring hope to people and hopefully lift up someone who's contemplating taking their own life or their mental health feels like it's suffering. This is what we get to do. This is why we got into
100%.
acting, right?
This is why we're storytellers. And I saw that post, by the way, and I thought it was super vulnerable. And I completely can empathize with you. I have a dog. His name is Martin. He's a Frenchie. Me and my wife love that dog to death, right? And every now and then we just looking like, oh my gosh, like he's not gonna live forever. And then we get sad. And I know when he's gone, I'm gonna be done for like at least a week, 2 weeks. And yeah, they're good. Martin was actually in one of my sponsored videos with Amazon Prime. So if you find that in there at some point, you'll see it. But yeah, anyway,
cool.
it's not silly at all. So I love the fact that people just pour so much love in the comment section. I saw that, especially when social media in general has like this severe duality to it, right? Where you feel like it's either people hate it or people love it. There's not that much in between. And as a creator, even just as somebody who's just on the app, just like scrolling or doom scrolling, whatever you're doing, it can feel very toxic. It can feel like, oh, okay, guess everybody hates everything. Cool. but that's like not necessarily the case. And when you get that outpouring of love, it's just a nice little reminder like, yep, we're storytellers, or we're all people existing on this floating rock, trying to do the best that we can. And we're here to support one another when those moments arise. So I completely commend you for making that post, and sorry for your loss as well. So
thank you. And even in my heart, it's like, oh, if someone says sorry for your loss, I'm like, no, I've received that. Thank you. I really do
definitely.
appreciate that. Being vulnerable, Olga says, is a superpower, and I think the human
1000%.
the human nature of being real on social media. Yeah, I like a good red carpet selfie, and I like to show our cool sets that we're doing. But I also think it's important, to talk about like, I feel really insecure. I just did a post about our table read that I did with some actors, and I was like, oh my gosh, my insecurities were so flaring, as we were doing it. And that's real. And if you don't say that, that's not being authentic and true, because you have to show every side of the story, every side of like the highs and the lows. And for us as filmmakers, I think we need to remind people too that the true story is it's not all film festivals. Like, to just do a 4-day film festival takes us, 9 or 10 months out of the year, and it's a lot of work. And I want to give up all the time. And I'm trying to help people see that in order to get those 4 days in July, you've got to really commit and plan and strategize. And I think that's so true to so many things in our life, right? The creative process, the social media, merit, whatever it is. So beautiful, beautiful stuff, Conrad.
Exactly.
Well, I know you want to pop me out with some questions, but let's talk about quickly. I always like to hear best practices or do's and don'ts. You've learned about some weather jokes might not, fare well. What are some other things you would say, do, don't, avoid this, try this?
Let's see. So I've got 2 do's, right? The first one is take breaks. Just take breaks, right? Like, it is okay to go away for a little bit and to not do whatever you've been doing, that you've been consistent at. You will be a better artist you will be a better person, and just allow life to kind of happen sometimes. I've done that. And I'm sure a lot of people have done that as well. But if you're just continually just grinding, you will burn out. I've done that before as a content creator. At one point, I'm not kidding you, this is probably back in 2021. In the beginning, I was posting 6 videos a day.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And going live and all the stuff like that. And it was just too much. I was overextending my capacity by like a massive amount. And I just felt so drained. I would get on a live on TikTok live and it's like, I have nothing to give today. Right. And I'm like, you know what? I need to take a step back, take a break from certain things, or just take a whole week off or do whatever I need to do to replenish my cup. So that'll be the first thing. And then do treat your acting like a business. That's something I have to remind myself all the time, because at the end of the day, that's what this is, right? We're in the industry. We as individual actors are all brands of acting and different styles, and comes in different flavors and all that stuff like that, if you want to think about it that way. And you have to just look at, okay, where's my plan? Where am I going in 1 year? That's what businesses do, right? They're looking at, okay, here's my targets. By the end of Q1, I need to do X amount of things. I need to have 20 auditions, or I need to have read 20 plays, whatever it may be. Focus yourself and treat it like a business and just have goals. And I feel like the best way to hold yourself accountable with those things is to have a couple of trusted people that are in your corner. They could be fellow actors, they could be anybody, or just good friends, good family members, to say like, hey, here's what I'm planning to do. I'd just love to chat with you about when I'm knocking these things out. Belhika, who I saw in the chat, she's somebody who I go to about certain things, right? I have another good friend who's up in Seattle that I go to about things and say, hey, here's this thing that I'm doing. Let me send you the script, or let me send you this, or what do you think about that? Always have those people in your corner. Oh, thanks, Belika. And so that's one of the things I would say to do for sure. And then you want to get into best practices with social media.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just piggyback on that real quick.
Yeah.
Can you name? I'm asking to our listeners out there. Can you name those 3 people, those 5 that you could text right now and say, I'm discouraged, or I need some help, or I need to vent? That's really important. Like if you can't, then okay, just start to work on it. Who are you that person for someone else? I won't name names, but yesterday, a couple friends, we were just chatting about something and venting about a creative challenge, and it felt so good. And the person was like, I need to vent. We're like, let's do it. We got on a phone call. It was so awesome to do that. I'm like, and it made me feel like, yes, I know they would do that for me too. That is like what we need to be doing for each other, because this business especially is hard. Do people who work at Starbucks and do they need this? Yes, they do too. But I would say that the creative world is such a different world, because we're not salaried and doing perks of insurance and all that kind of stuff. And the rejection. You need to have that base. So thank you for pointing that out. It's just to have a crew of people that you can do this with and be supportive of. Yeah,
100%. And I won't name names on my side, but my wife is definitely one of them for sure. And of course, I'll name Belhika. Of course, I know I can reach out to her anytime. And then my brother, my sister-in-laws, amazing people, right? Like, even though they're not necessarily in the entertainment business, they will be able to just like hear me out and just either provide some clarity or just not make me feel crazy. Like sometimes venting, you just need to not feel crazy. You need to get it out. Otherwise it's just bottled up and it has nowhere to go. So that is 100% a thing I would say you need to do. Find some good people in your corner. They can be accountability partners, or they can just be people that are there for you in general.
This is a plug for business stuff, but it also is strategy and relationship building. We do a thing on Mondays called our mastermind. So if you're listening to this, you're going, I want connection. I wanted to create this for myself, like a weekly support group. So every Monday, if you feel like you're listening right now and go, I want that, I need that, go to bravemaker.com/membership, and you'll see every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we have a group of people, and now it's like 12, 13, sometimes more. We have professional development, special guest speakers. But my hope is like the people on that chat are just supporting each other and following each other and collaborating and being that support group. So get that however you can. So Conrad, you had some best practices on social media. Let's do that. What do you want to say?
Yeah, so let's do some quick rapid fire ones on this best practices with social media. I would say if you're getting started, just create. Don't worry too much about the strategy just yet. Get into the habit of creating and just stay consistent with that. And the reason why that's probably a best practice, at least in my opinion, is you need to get used to kind of like building up that muscle, right? Like, okay, I'm going to knock this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I would say do content, do batch creating. That will save you a lot of time. But
And
if you
batch
can't,
creating, to break it down, as you do one
yep,
day and you just like create like 6 to 10 videos that you can then post
exactly.
over the next week. Yeah, good.
And you just let them leak out, right? So I would say just do that, and it's going to help you out two ways. You're building that muscle, and then the second thing is the algorithm will now start to view you as a consistent feeder of content, and that's what ultimately you need it to do. It has its own ranking system. I don't know what it is. I don't work for these places, right? But
Yeah.
I'm sure they rank things. I'm sure they probably categorize certain accounts as like, this person is a creator, right? Like we know to expect content from this person. So you just need to kind of get the algorithm to start recognizing you that way. And that will help if you're just consistent with it. The second piece is show some love to the people in your comment section, right?
Yeah.
If people are jumping into your comment section, you just dropped the video in 30 seconds. Go ahead and show them some love. I mean, if you can't get to them in that moment for whatever reason, that's cool. I get it.
Yes.
Life is life. But get back to them. And this is one thing that I also do. This is kind of 2B. You should totally say thank you to everybody that mentions you and adds you to their story. I've been doing that ever since I've been creating content consistently on Instagram. And sometimes it sparks conversations. Some people just like, thanks so much. Like, that was really funny. And that will help feed your artistic soul as well. You're like, wow, these people really appreciated me. Not that they just had a comment, they added me to their story. It seems silly, right? It seems like it's not a big thing, but to me, it's a big deal. That person is deciding to showcase what I'm doing
That's right.
to all their friends and family or their followers. So show people some love when they're showing you love back. So I would say that's like another best practice that I would definitely suggest people to do. I don't know how many creators do that, but I do. I'm gonna. You mentioned me. I'm gonna definitely reach out to you.
Again, the relationship building. It's the reciprocity of you
Yep.
posting. I'm gonna repost. You tag me. I'm gonna give you some love, and that is the like value we get to bring to each other as creatives. Like we
Yep.
should recognize that within each other, right? And that tide rising all ships. I'm 100%. I love that. Thank you for saying that. And so many of the guests I have on my podcast start in social media. I mean, I met
Yep.
you in person first, but those maybe I saw you online first. I don't know, but it's cool how sometimes I don't know the difference. Someone will
Yep.
say to me like, "Oh, it's so good to see you in person. It has been so long." I'm like, "Has it?" I feel like I've been seeing you all the time, because if I'm seeing your face right here, I feel that connection, for good or for bad. I think it's for good, and we really can utilize it. So thank you for saying
Of
that.
course.
I don't want to be specific, but I did a post where I had bought something and I tagged the product, and I was like,
Yep.
oh, I guess I was kind of hoping I would get noticed and reshared, and they did it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, whatever, that's fine. Maybe they're too big. But when you get that, like, oh, somebody reshares and puts a GIF on it, I mean, come on, it takes 30 seconds. It could
100%.
really be like that little bump that you need to feel good in your day. So
It
that's really
really,
good.
it really is. And so I always show people love back. Seriously, like if you add me to your story, 9 times out of 10, expect a message from me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you, I appreciate you, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
If you added a little like meme over top of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's hilarious, right? So it's just a way just to show your community love. And then here's something on the business side of things.
Mm-hmm.
If you are starting to say, hey, I want to monetize my account, excuse me, I want to monetize my account, build a media kit, right? Canva has plenty of templates. I'm sure you can go on Google and just type in content creator, influencer, media kit, and follow that template. And boom, there you've got it. You want to make sure you add in like whatever your stats are. And it doesn't matter if you have 200 followers or 200,000, right? Like go ahead and put that in there. My engagement is this. I have a breakdown of X% versus Y% for male and female. My people are mainly in the US or they're mainly abroad. Have all that information ready, because that's something you'll be able to send out and share with the folks on the business side of things in the marketing departments. And then they can see if it's a match, right? And say, okay, great, this is the perfect person to plug our product or service. So just something on the business side that I think will help people if they are trying to take it to that next step, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's a good way to to look at how to monetize and figure out how can you monetize your art, right? I know that going back to selling out, right? um, at the end of the day, we all have to make money.
Conrad,
So
yes,
why not?
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. And you, I think, hit on something again, the business side, the strategic side of looking
Yeah.
at our lives as a business, if we're actors or creators, having your EPK electronic press kit, something one
Yes.
pager. You should have a nice bio. Please treat yourself to a nice headshot with a good bio.
Yep.
Treat yourself
Yep.
to a professional headshot, please. If you're an actor, you can't have a selfie from your phone with your hand with your arm in it, and definitely don't do it from your car with a seatbelt on.
Oh
I,
no,
I've gotten
not the
those
seat belt.
before. Submissions
Oh,
for films where actors are no, don't go to Richard Shue, okay? Get in San Francisco or wherever, just book a professional headshot photographer and they cost $200 or $300. But yeah, I think you are hitting so many things, and I hope our listeners, our brave makers, are inspired to do something new and different. Your social media page, TikTok, your bio on Instagram, those are the new websites. People are looking at those and booking people
100%.
straight from there. I just had the showrunner Michelle Daniel on the podcast, and she was talking about her Instagram page, how much stuff she gives away for free, and occasionally she'll do, "This is who I am. Here's my bio." Do the carousel flip about all the
Yeah.
things that you do. You could do that, like what Conrad is saying, with your stats. How many followers I have, how many people I reach, here are my top characters, here are my brands,
and,
all
and
that
that's what
stuff.
and that's what I do. And like even in my media kit, besides I have a one pager and I have one that kind of like shows some other things. Like here's like you said, here's the top characters, right? I've got a sergeant that I play, a drill sergeant that I play. I've got a pastor that I played before. I play Father Time as a judge, right? Like there's so many different characters. I'm like, all right, I see how this could work for this brand. Maybe they love this and maybe they won't love it.
Great.
But send it back to them and have those demographics down. Like for me, my audience is pretty much all male. It's like 83%, 84%, 18 to 30. So knowing that brands, certain brands that are trying to reach that audience will definitely want to work with you. So don't feel bad if your audience is like majority one thing. That actually could be a huge benefit to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be surprised by it. Another follow-up on other materials you can have as a content creator is that you can create your own content creator demo reel. So I've done that before. I actually need to update mine. But you can create that and just have that ready to go, mix it in with some of your most successful or viral videos, and then throw in some of those brand sponsorships that you've done just so people can see like, oh, he's good to work with. I see he's worked with this brand. And then on top of it, this also helps you as an actor. When you see a breakdown that perfectly fits a piece of content that you've made, that is a clip. All right. That is a clip. Send that and attach that to it. Literally, I saw one for a drill sergeant. I sent in my character that you just passed over. I sent in one of those videos. I didn't get the part, but I had it ready to go. And so it's just going to help you out in so many different ways. You'll be able to just like have so many different options for submissions. So I would say like just have those things ready. Just have those clips ready.
Boom. You're dropping some major mics today, Conrad. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming to the festival and posting your latest reel with us and making us collaborate. I really appreciate it. By the way, I saw this as a trend just like 2 days ago, like how to hook people on social media. Put your chair down and come and sit. And I was like, and Conrad just did that. I was like,
oh man. Yeah, the funny thing about I saw something like that as well a while ago, or I follow a lot of like content creators if that makes sense. Who are always dropping little tips. I was like, let me just try that. I've never tried that before. And I was like, all right, this is fun. This is fun. And I hook people in with like the one thing, like you gotta like hook them with something like that. So hey, always try new things. And that's another thing I would suggest. I've tried a bunch of new things when it comes to my content. What got me to 750K was this one specific character where I was playing a pastor who was reacting to like all the top songs, right? So people loved it, right? People love that character. But I wanted to just showcase more of the things that I could do. I had all these other characters in my head. I had all these skits and the stuff I wanted to create. So I'll just keep testing out new things and just see what people gravitate towards. So sometimes you just have to completely break the mold of whatever it is that you're known for, just to, hit that next level of creativity, or just to showcase what else you can do.
I gotta take that to heart. That's really good. All right, before we go into our Brave faves, do you have any questions for me? You said I'm gonna do rapid fire.
Yeah.
What you got? Bring them at me.
Oh, this one's gonna be more on the acting side of things.
Let's hear it.
When you are feeling like you're not giving the best performance, right? Whether it's an audition or you're actually on set, how do you feel like what do you do to get yourself outside of that and to get back on track with your performance?
To not be outside of my body watching myself and critiquing, right? I have to pull myself back in and just do, like I'm in my studio right now, so I have some techniques on my wall, but one of them is I become a narrator as the character. So I think about let me narrate this as if I'm first person in the character. Second, imaging. Let me imagine the room that I am in, because usually I'm doing a self-tape and it's just me in the studio with the gray Savage Paper background.
Right.
Let me just try to go, where is the door here? Where is the counter? What does it look like? Let me close my eyes. Let me smell. Let me feel all those sense memories, right? Or three, like the substitution thing. If I'm doing a commercial audition, who am I talking to? Like, I'm obviously talking to the camera or my reader off camera, but could I personalize that to a real person? Oh, it's my brother, it's my neighbor, it's my best friend, it's my wife, it's my kid. Just really getting that connection grounded and real. Those are like three things off the top of my head that I would try to do to make it more accessible and not be critiquing myself, from some outside of my body experience.
No, I love that. I always like to ask that question because it's real easy to spiral.
Oh my gosh, totally.
It's real easy. You're just like, oh wow, that line didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
Yep.
Oh goodness, right? And then boom, you're in that cycle. You can't get out of it. It reads on your performance a little bit. If you see it on camera, and that's not what we want as storytellers, right? Like we want to just tell the story. And so you just said a lot of things that hit home for me. Good. Get back to the story, get back to like who the character is, where they are, like all the basics.
Yeah.
So
and if it's narrative, if it's not a commercial, it's a narrative. Like again, just going to the simple objective. What does my character want? My character wants to woo this boss to get a job, or seduce this person in a relationship, or tear this person a new hole. Like just make it simple. Just give a real simple objective. If it's a narrative audition or a narrative, you're even on set, like we were filming last night for our academy, and we're cramming a lot of pages in for a short amount of time, and you get one take, two takes. Okay, if we don't get it by the third or fourth take, like I'm trying to think, what can I do to get the actors there? And I just simplify it. I don't want to pull them off and give them a big old backstory. I want to give them one word. I want to give them a real easy verb that they can do. Worship him right now. Get his goat. Manipulate. Whatever. And then boom, action. And then you see people go at it. And I think those little things can really have a big impact.
Yeah. And then the magic happens. And then one more question for you.
Yeah.
You're an amazing collaborator. And I feel like a big time connector when it comes to the filmmaking space in the Bay Area. So I just got to give you your flowers for that. If anybody's watching this right now and they haven't been to the Brave Maker Film Festival, just stop by. Come on, just at least for one, one day. Just for one day, it will be a life-changing experience. I'm going to say that. I know some big words, but back to the question: as a collaborator, when it comes to anything that you're doing, what do you feel like your superpowers are?
As a collaborator, I really like to instill a sense of belonging and inclusivity, that it's not really a hierarchy that should be feared or shamed. I've been in too many sets where there's an icky feeling. I can't say anything or ask a question. I can stay in my place. I was just thinking today, I I had been on a set where I wasn't treated very well, and I could have spiraled out of it and felt like I'm little, I'm lonely, I'm nothing, I'm small. But I chose to kind of keep my head up and go, well, what could I do? I tried to hold the door open for somebody. I tried to find ways that I could listen to people as they were chatting about random things and just go, I'm not going to crawl into my cave. And I actually made a connection with somebody who ended up being a valuable and positive connection for me in the industry.
Wow.
That started out as someone who didn't see me until I was able to bring value. So I think that's a superpower. Is I come into any space and I'm like looking around going, all right, everybody here is worthy and we can't do it. We had an intern last night who's a junior in high school on our set, and I could tell, this is a new thing for her, and there's all these adults who are not a teenager, and I just kept saying like, hey, come on over here. I want you to watch the camera. You have any questions? Can you hold my script? I'm going to have you be script supervisor for the next 20 minutes. So I like doing that, I think, because I wanted someone to do that for me. And I feel like I'm still trying to, get in the door and knock on the door. And I'm like, I'm tired of that. I'm like, no, I'm just going to build a house for everybody and say, come on in, because that's what I wished somebody had done for me.
I love that. And what I heard from you is that you were really stepping into your leadership in terms of like empowering not only yourself, but other people on set. And I think that's a beautiful thing, right? Because I feel like most of us, or maybe I'll just speak for myself, you may have a certain view that, only the director is the leader on this set. But I don't think that's necessarily the case. Like you can be a leader in any aspect, no matter where you are on the call sheet. If you're an actor, just based on the way you treat people, making sure you're saying hi to all the people on crew and just treating everybody with respect. It kind of just sets the tone for how the day is going to go. And even if things are going bad, like you said, like you just bounce back by empowering, by continue thinking about that leadership. So that's amazing.
Dude, thank you. And thank you for listening and asking. And I just received that too. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Empowering and leadership. Like that's what we get to do too. Yes, we're creative. Yes, we're storytellers, but there's a leadership element to the work we do. There's an empowering element to the work we do. And I want everybody to walk out of our set feeling better and more inspired, even though it's tiring and your feet hurt, but to go, that was worth it, Conrad, this has been so great, dude. Like I love that we're connected. Grateful to Belgica and Bay Area creative community for doing this thing. And for you, we're hopefully going to be mutually beneficial to each other. So I'm going to take you up. I would love to collaborate with you on something. So let's talk.
Oh, we'll make it happen. We definitely will make it happen. It's been amazing as well. This conversation is filling up my cup, as you all always do with everything that happens at Brave Maker. So, I mean, I'm always appreciative.
Thanks, man. Well, don't go away. We're going to end with our Brave Faves.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
All right. So my Brave Fave of the week is also going to be tied to a social media shout out. So I started watching this new show on Hulu, and I tweeted at the creator that I loved it. And also the creator was connected to a former showrunner of a very popular show. So you'll start to know who it was. But I tweeted as a comment to Prentice Penny, who was the showrunner of Insecure. And I'm talking about actor Natasha Rothwell's new show called How to Die Alone. And Prentice Penny's comment got me into Natasha Rothwell's feed, and she reposted my comment on Twitter. It felt so dang good. So go watch her new show on Hulu. I love it. It's all about living your purpose and getting your dreams fulfilled and not letting your own self censor it. And how cool the backstory is, it took her 8 years to bring it to the small screen. So I love it. So How to Die Alone with Natasha Rothwell of not only Insecure, but White Lotus fame. That's my Brave Fave of the week. Conrad, what you got?
Wow, that's an amazing story. I love that. I mean, and she's amazing. In Insecure White Lotus, she kills it. So happy to see her doing her thing. So I'm definitely gonna watch it after that suggestion. For me, I would say my brave fave for this week is Studio Binder. So it's a YouTube channel. They have a lot of great videos on all the different aspects of making a film, right? So down to dialogue, down to sound, down to character motivations, all these different things, breaking down some of the most iconic movies, TV series, just so you can learn from it. So I would say definitely check that out. Whenever they pop up on my YouTube feed, I'm definitely either saving to watch later or I'm watching it like immediately. So that's one, and then I'm gonna squeeze in one more. Film Courage. If you are looking for another YouTube channel that's going to just teach you about the industry and you can hear from industry professionals, Film Courage is definitely one you want to check out. They have a ton of people from the industry of all different backgrounds and different roles that they're doing right now. So check that out. A lot of great information in there as well.
Yeah, leave it to the social media person to shout out other people's social media. That's awesome, dude.
I have to. I'm also like a YouTube junkie as well. So it's just like I love everything about YouTube pretty much.
I'm with it. Dude, this has been so good, so informative. Thank you so much for your time, and let's definitely hang out again. Don't go away. But everybody, please follow Conrad Cheeks on his social media and Instagram and TikTok, and tell him your favorite characters. And as the holidays come, maybe you're going to see some Halloween and Christmas and Thanksgiving characters going at it, as he did so well last year. If you are a follower of Brave Maker, please like, subscribe, and share this episode. Please give us a rating if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, 5 stars, and tell us why you like it. And get this, share the link and just text it to somebody, because we want to educate, entertain, and create community with film for justice, diversity, and inclusion. If you're listening to this in 2024 September, we have a mixer happening at Coffee Bar on September 27th in Redwood City. All the information is on our events page at bravemaker.com. We also have our annual Brave Maker Halloween party. Y'all, this is costumes, like go all out. We're talking, makeup and hair in the chair for 2.5 hours. You don't have to do that. You can just go to Spirit Halloween and buy a mask, but have fun. October 26th in Redwood City at a secret location. The tickets are $25 now for the early bird, and you get to drink and party and watch our new film Creature Comforter, which is going to premiere. They also have, we'll have a DJ, we'll be dancing, all that kind of fun stuff. And you can be building relationships and networking. And don't forget, we are a nonprofit. So we just got our 50th monthly donor. If you can do $5, $10, $20, $100 a month, that'll help us do more movies, have more events, continue to create more opportunities like our film festival to celebrate brave stories that can change the world. All right, that's all I got today. Conrad, thanks for being my 260th guest. So good, so informative. And Bellica's like, I'm in Creature Comforter.
Oh, that's
yes,
awesome.
he is. And we are almost at 2,000 followers, subscribers on YouTube. So subscribe away. Come on, subscribe away. We would appreciate it. And thanks to our social media producer, Alessia, our podcast producer, Amy, and our podcast editor, Barnell, who make all this stuff happen, and all the Brave Maker team, y'all. We're so proud of you. Stacy and Olga, who are our press. Thank you. Love you. Appreciate you. Conrad, anything else you want to say? Final words?
Final words, I would say keep at it. Give yourself some grace. And I would say thank you, Tony, for having me on the podcast. It's been a lovely experience. And, if you ever want to have me back in the future, I would love to. And we will definitely connect, and we're going to do some things.
Come on, dude.
I'm
trying to also do some stuff in Oakland these days. So let's chat. We got to link up. We'll text. I'm serious. And this won't just be talk. If you're talking to me and to you, it's not just going to be talk. Something's going to happen.
We're going to put it into action. We're going to put it into action for sure. And also, one last thing in terms of upcoming projects, be on the lookout for the little sponsored posts I got coming out. I'm partnering again with Dove Men, and I'm super excited about that. So check that out. And also, I'm going to be a part of a Brave Maker sponsee film.
What?
Yes.
Which one?
Don.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, no
Tonight.
spoilers, but that's amazing. That's a fun
Yes.
project.
With tonight and the wonderful filmmaker Shia. So I'm super excited about that. So I had to just plug those real quick. But
That's
I'm very, very grateful
awesome.
for this
That's
opportunity, Tony.
awesome,
It's been
dude.
great.
Congratulations. Okay, cool. And the connections and collaborations continue. Oh my gosh, that's so great.
Yes.
And if you're like, what is that? What is Dawn? Dawn is a new fiscally sponsored project that Bravemaker has partnered with, and we're very excited. It's going to be probably release the information and announcements in the coming weeks. Definitely by October. We're just getting all the legal stuff figured out on our end. But thanks so much, Conrad. Congrats to all you are doing your Dove campaign and all the things. And I look forward to chatting. Have a great weekend.
You too. Take care, Tony.
Brave stories change the world. You are the story. Bye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.